election. He'll never be aware of it, but he will feel it. The 5-year-old is aware. He's about to turn 6. He won't me tell you that. He's going to be 6 years old in 2 weeks. The 1-year-old will never know, but he'll feel it. He'll experience it. He'll know it because of what we're going to do, because we've got to win. The 5-year-old is just starting to become aware that in this country we get to do things like say the Pledge of Allegiance. We bought him, I'm not a big World Cup fan. Did anybody watch yesterday? No. We bought him a little U.S. flag to wave during the finals, even though we weren't playing. Just because we like our country that much more than Spain and Argentina. And so he was doing that the whole game. He's starting to become aware of stuff like that, what it means to be an American, and the fact that in this country we do get to choose who leads us. And so he will be aware of the work that we all do together in some shape, form, or fashion. And so they're a big part of what reason of why I want to get the vote out, because I want him to grow up in a country that is free, that is full of faith, where they can go and earn a living and support their own families. And honestly, that's what's on the line. I don't have to tell you all that. You know that. That's what's on the line for November. But another personal reason of why we want to get out the vote is because Lindsay and I were trying to decide, you all are probably like this too, but we've been trying to decide if we were going to move or not for the last few years. And that meant a number of things, like are we going to stay in South Lake where we live, or are we going to stay in Tarrant County, or are we going to go somewhere else? Elections kind of determine a lot of that for us, both at the South Lake level, at the Tarrant County level, and then even across different counties. And we just decided this is the place for us. Our church is here. We love our church. We love living here with folks like you all. We love our son's school that he goes to. And it was just so important for us to stay here. And so we bought a house at the end of April. We closed on a house. And so we're here now, like it or not. This is where we put our flag. I don't want to live in a county where Elisa Simmons is the county judge. I just don't. And I don't think we could survive that. I really don't. When you listen to her at Commissioner's Court talk about the things that she wants to do in terms of criminal justice reform, which is, you all know, is anything but. When you see the way that she's voted on taxes in this county, Tim O'Hare and the Republicans have cut our tax the other way. She's going to increase it 80 million. All the 80 that he gave back, she's going to take and then some. I've been on the JPS board. That's a huge component of your tax bill in Tarrant County. All of her appointees on that board voted to raise the tax burden in JPS. They will continue to do so if she's county judge, of course. We can't sustain that as a property owner, as somebody who owns a house here. You all know that. We can't sustain that. But the other reason that I want us to get out the vote, the other reason that's motivating me to get out the vote. I was in Las Vegas last week. I hate going to Las Vegas. I don't know if any of you all, some of you are gamers, I can tell. I was there for work. I was there for a conference. But our church planted a church in Henderson, right outside Las Vegas. And fortunately, I get to work with a lot of our church plants at our church. And they have different experiences across the country. Here in Texas, fortunately, a lot of schools let them operate. And these are startup churches. Think of them like a small business in a way. They need a place to meet. So they'll start to meet in like auditoriums of elementary schools or high schools or something like that. And that's the case at our church plant in Las Vegas, where they have found a really favorable reception from the school there. And I said, well, tell me, what has happened there? And somebody said, well, we know the Republicans of this county, and they helped us out. And we think a lot about how we have to keep church and state separate, and the left, really gets a fever pitch about that. Now, they only mean it to a certain extent. They mean our church. They don't want our church. Are you recording this? It's okay if you are. But you guys just keep it.
I can pause if you ever need me to.
No. I'm just going to be a little silly for a second. I enjoy that church plant work far more than I enjoy being party chair. Because what we get to see is how people's lives really are changed because there's a church there that wasn't there before. And it's just so important and so, it's just so important and so dynamic. And so as I was flying back, I was just thinking about that. It just really stuck with me I had never thought about that, about the work that we do in planning these churches and the work that we do here at the party as having that overlap and as being a reason why we have to get their vote out. Because Elisa Simmons isn't going to have a county that's going to be supportive of a church plant. Anything that she's going to do, and I'm just using her as an example today, anything she's going to do is going to be hostile to that. And to me, that is the most important work that I can do. And so as a result, this is the most important work I can do between now and November, is make sure that we have a county that isn't going to be hostile to faith. Their prior county judge closed your church during COVID. And it just is crazy to think that we lived in a county like that, where that was true.
Who was the judge before?
Glenn Whitley, a Republican.
Oh, not really a Republican.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's now endorsed all the Democrats across the statewide ballot. He's awful. Yeah,
I was really mad when what's her name didn't win, that used to be the mayor, the female, blonde hair.
Yeah, he gets mad when Republicans win. Yeah, he does, even though he claimed to be a Republican. Yeah. So all of that has just been fun of mine, informing this discussion of how we're going to get that out. I just have been spending some time thinking about my family, the house that we own, the church that we go to, the churches we want to plant, as being the reason for why we're doing all this. I love being party chair, although it is probably the toughest thing that I've ever done, if I'm being honest, especially in a cycle like this, because I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think any of you all thought it was going to be easy as we head towards November and as we look at. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing at the party. Let me tell you about the campaigns and how we're interacting. And seriously, y'all stop me as we go through, because I may use a term that you haven't heard before, or you may have even a better idea than what I'm talking about. So stop me if I get there. So how many of you are precinct chairs? I know some of you are. Yeah, maybe one of you. Your husband is. That counts.
My husband is,
You're
yes.
one. Yeah. And so I'm so excited. Were you there Thursday night? That was the most people I've ever seen in that room. Yeah, we had an executive committee meeting, which is when all the precinct chairs come together. Most people I've ever seen in that room. Folks are fired up for November, I think. That's the feeling that I'm getting. A lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of people willing and ready to get to work. And so I'll get to what we're going to do in a second. We swore in, I need to get this number straight because it changes so much. We have now 257 precinct chairs in Tarrant County, which is a lot. That's a lot. We still need about now all of our appointed positions. Back in that calendar, this is the only general election in Texas that we'll have for that 2-year biennium period. So to me, this is the one that counts. This is the one that I'm really excited about. As we organize the party and different roles get filled out, different responsibility, people have different responsibilities. We have all sorts of committees, all sorts of leaders. It's not just me, thank goodness, because I couldn't do it all alone anyway. But I was just so encouraged Thursday night, to see everybody there, to see a lot of unity, which is sometimes rare in the Tarrant County Republican Party as we're getting ready. And that's what it's going to take, as we head towards November, is just being singularly focused on winning. I tell everybody, if the election is November 4th, I think that's election day. November 5th, do whatever you want, go wild. But let's all be together between now and November 4th, because we know what we're up against with the Democrats and all their friends. So here's the plan. Here's kind of what we want to do between now and then. The first thing is voter ID, voter identification. And somebody said to me the other day, why do we need to ID voters? We have to register to vote. That's right. We know if you're registered or not. Voter ID is something a little bit broader than that. In Tarrant County, we estimate that there are about 500,000 people who only vote in the general election. That's weird to me. I voted the first time when I was 17. And a lot of people think, oh, there's some voter fraud there. No, it's because I turned 18 in a presidential election year. And so I was allowed to vote in the primary because I was 18 by the time of the general election. And I have voted in every election since then. I'm serious. I'm weird like that, I know. But I remember one night I was watching TV and there was like a water ballot measure, that we get sometimes, and it was me and 53 people that voted on that, in that election. I love it. I love voting. I think it's important. I think too many people fought and died for the right and for us to take it for granted. And I come from a family that didn't always vote because of just some church things. Really, my grandparents never voted. My grandfather was at Pearl Harbor, and he never voted. It was always strange to me as a kid. So I'm making up for their lost time. Anyway, so you know me, I'm a voter. There are people like us, we always vote, but I don't understand these people that just show up in November to vote, but they're out there. So we got to figure out, of those 500,000, how many of them are with us? There's a number of ways to do that. There's a lot of people that just show up when Donald Trump is on the ballot, and that's okay. We go to church with them, they live around us, they're our neighbors, they love the president, but they're frustrated with local Republicans because they don't feel like we're getting enough done. And that's a fair criticism. I think that's great. So we got to talk to those folks. We got to motivate them to get out. The president did one thing for us, and it's going to be so helpful here in Texas, and that's that midterm convention that we're going to have in September, because that's going to help with voter ID, because I've already, and I'm sure you all have too, heard from a lot of people that want to go to it. And it's not going to be a convention in the normal sense of we're not going to pass resolutions, we don't have delegates that we need to nominate for anything. It's just going to be a 2-day pep rally, 2-day campaign rally, and I love those. Again, maybe I'm weird about that. I love it that we do those, but I love even more that it's in Dallas, because we're going to get the attention here in Tarrant County that we need to help get out the vote, again, for that segment of the 500,000 people that only show up when the president is on the ballot. He's going to do a lot to encourage those people to come out in November, because he knows if we lose the House of Representatives, it's perpetual impeachments forever for the rest of his 2 years in office. And so he knows what's at stake more probably than any of us as well. So voter ID, we're going to do a number of different ways. You all get these polls a lot on your phone. Hey, do you support Sharia law, for instance? And so people will click that and they'll say not just no, but hell no. That's one of ours. we know that's one of ours. There we go. But there'll be other polls that you'll get along the way. We're going to do some of that. They're called survey text or text to survey or something like that. That's one way that we can start to identify these voters. The other way is we're going to call them on the phone. We're just going to set up really big phone banks at the party. A voter ID call is the easiest phone call you'll ever make, I promise you. Because if you call and you say, hey, I'm Carol calling with the Republican Party, they're either going to say, oh, hey, Carol, or they're going to say a bad word and hang up the phone. And you know, that's right. And you know how to log them in the system. That's what we're doing. We're logging them in the system, doing this voter ID, putting them into a big database. The governor has developed this Advantage app. Has anybody seen it? Have you used it for block walking or anything? It's a really large database of all Texas voters. And so they've offered to give us that for free, which is about a $30,000 savings to the party. I'm all about raising money and saving money right now. It'll be about a $30,000 savings to the party because we won't have to generate it on our own. We have to generate that database on our own. And we'll log, if you get that response, we'll log a positive response or a negative response, and we'll know this is a Republican or this isn't. If it's a conversation, then we'll have a script for you to kind of walk through and talk to the voter to figure out if they're really a conservative or not. What we will do with that information is two things. The second phase of this get out the vote effort, and by the way, you can do that door knocking as well with the app or even with your own data. As you talk to a person at church, for instance, who says, I'm really excited to see what the Republicans do in November. If they're a general election voter, log it. And it's going to be kind of annoying because there's all these conversations that we're going to have where we're just going to keep data on our friends, but that's what we have to do in a county as large as ours. Anyway, so as you log all that, as we start to collect that information, who's with us, who of that 500,000 people in Tarrant County is with us, and who is not with us, we're going to do two things after that. The second phase is going to be communication and persuasion. So I put out a poll in the week after the runoff election of 927 Tarrant County voters, where it's this new type of polling called conduit analysis. Has anybody heard me talk about this before?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's really, really interesting the way that they do polling now, because if I were to get a phone call and somebody were to say, Tim, if you go to the grocery store, do you like steak? I'll say, yeah. And then the next question is, well, do you like cabbage? I'll say, no. Steak is going to test really high in that poll, and cabbage is going to test really negatively in that poll. And this is an oversimplified way to explain it. But now the way that they do polling, or at least the polling that we wanted them to do, was to call me and say, Tim, if you go to the grocery store, are you more likely to buy steak or are you more likely to buy cabbage? And you see what that's testing there. It's testing what's going to motivate me, what's going to move me when I get to the grocery store. So they do the same thing with issues. We tested about 20 different issues across all of those 927 Tarrant County voters, again, in the week after the runoff primary, to see what motivates them. And it was interesting because the survey, we wanted them to split a third between Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And all I really care about coming into November is what did those independents say? Because we know everybody in here is going to vote on our ballot, vote for our candidates, hopefully. Democrats aren't. We know that they're going to go and vote for whatever the most communist thing is. The independents, I want to know what's moving them, what's motivating them when they go to vote, because now we're in the persuasion phase. So if voter ID is the first phase. The second phase is persuasion. How are we going to persuade them? I'm not smart enough to just know, and so that's why we had to put this poll out. So as I mentioned, we tested about 20 different issues against each other, and it's amazing, fascinating the way they do this. I'm just a lawyer, I'm not very smart, but all these data scientists have these algorithms where they fit all this stuff together and spits out these results. You all can probably guess what the top 3 issues were for independents. And in fact, they were true whether you were independent, Republican, or Democrat. Anybody have a guess what the top issue was?
Inflation.
Yeah, economy, that's right. Cost of living, cost of insurance tested really high. Cost of healthcare tested really high. All of it was an economic concern. And I think all of us in this room share that, where it feels like, especially over the last few months, things are just getting more expensive. And it's costing you more just to live and do basic things. And so I shared that with a group of our House candidates on Friday. And what's interesting, you all know this from working with candidates, is sometimes they're just aloof and they don't get it. Some of them were surprised by that. I was surprised that they were surprised by some of that. Because guess what issue among independents tested the worst in terms of it's not going to motivate them to go vote. They may hear about it, they may even be interested in it, but it's not going to motivate them. I was surprised by this. Guess what issue tested the worst?
I'm scared to hear.
Banning Sharia law.
I knew it. I knew it.
Now think about it. That could be for a number of reasons. One, that's a big issue in our primary, and so it's a big issue that a lot of people think may have been solved already, because you heard a lot of discussion about it in the primary. And so, because again, remember, this poll is designed to test what's motivating people, and I'm not really interested in relitigating World War II, for instance. It's already been won. It's fine. I don't need to go fight it. So if a voter thinks that banning Sharia law has already occurred, then they're not so interested in it. And I want to tell you, this is just anecdotal, but there was another what we call horseshoe issue that tested really strong among the hard right and really strong among the hard left. It was the death penalty for child predators. I support that. I'll tell you, Tim Davis supports that. I think there is a reason that we should have that as a law in extreme cases. So I would be in that hard right that it tested really positively with. Why did it test really well with the hard left? Anybody have a guess?
You mean they were against it?
They were for it. They were for it. Anybody
Because
have a
everybody
guess?
cares about their children?
Well, I would hope that it's that. But the real reason is because they think the president is a pedophile. Yeah, I'm
Oh
serious.
my
I'm
goodness.
serious. So don't ever forget who lives in this county with us, and don't ever forget how extreme and how wild they are. Because that issue, like I say, was a horseshoe issue, tested real strong with us and real strong with the hard left. But anyway.
Wow.
So in talking with candidates, that's been my ask to them. I understand there are a lot of really strong primary issues, banning Sharia law being one, foreign ownership of land, really strong issue that I believe really strongly in, just not really shared widely with the broad electorate or with that 500,000 group of independent voters. What I've asked our candidates to do is really focus their message between now and November on an economic message and on sharing the fact that we really can lower the cost of housing. There are certain things that we can do in Texas to make housing cheaper. We really can lower the cost of living in Texas. There are certain things that we can do to make living cheaper. And banning property taxes was also a huge issue. So I mentioned that to draw that was an issue in our primary and has always been an issue in our primary. But that's resonating across the entire electorate. So we'll do well to talk about those things, about lowering the cost of housing, lowering the cost of living, and getting rid of property taxes. What's fortunate for us is we're already winning on that issue of property taxes. Nobody looks to Democrats as a source of lower taxes. Nobody thinks that at all. In fact, that's why I bring up Elisa Simmons so much. She's voted for tax increases more often than she's voted to lower taxes, despite what she wants to tell you. And so we're already ahead on that issue. We just have to message it. We have to get it out. We have to talk about it more. And so you'll see a lot of the messaging from the party and hopefully from the candidates focusing on those three issues. The fourth and fifth issues were really just crime and punishment, law and order kind of issues. And that shouldn't be surprising to us. People want to live cheaply in a place that's safe. And so we'll draw a contrast between us and Dallas. In fact, you may have heard on Thursday night we started doing that with some of our judicial candidates. In Dallas County, they just 4 years ago elected a Soros DA who was completely funded by George Soros. He's the one, I can't remember what he said, but he's the one who said theft under a certain dollar amount he wasn't going to prosecute. I mean, I guess it's just cheap theft he doesn't care about. What's concerning to me about Dallas County is he was too moderate for the Dems in Dallas County, that he lost his primary to a woman who's a judge who got sanctioned for letting her court coordinator impersonate her at hearings. And she's going to be the new district attorney in Dallas County.
Wow.
So a guy who said he wasn't going to prosecute certain levels of crime wasn't enough for their voters. They needed to go even more extreme. And so they have that in Dallas County now. And I think nearly all of their judges, with the exceptions of those who have been appointed by the governor, are Democrats. Dallas County's crime, you might remember better than me.
44% higher than Tarrant.
Yeah, where
Wow.
all of our judges are Republicans and our DA is a solid Republican.
That's why you got to vote all the way down the ballot.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And so you'll hear us talk about that message and that number in particular because it's scary. I mean, thinking back to why we're doing this with my family, with the property that I own, the church that I want to live in, that number alone touches all three of those things. And is a very scary thing to think about if we lose this county. And so that's part of the message that you'll see us share. You'll see us share it that way of our neighbor that we share a border with. 44% worse crime over here than over here. I mean, that's stark. And what's the difference over there and over here? It's Democrats and it's Republicans. That's what we're voting for in November. So we're going to identify those voters. We're going to try to persuade them. And then it doesn't matter if we persuade them if we don't turn them out. So the third phase is GOTV, get out the vote. And there's a number of ways that we're going to do that. We're going to get back on the phones. And we're going to start, so you'll start to see that and opportunities for that in early voting as we get close to early voting in October. We're just going to start calling these people back and saying, hey, you told us back in July, back in August, that you shared these values. Now's the time to go do something about it. So we'll start phone banking. We'll start block walking again. Excuse me, and that would be going to only to those houses where we've identified those voters that share our values. And making sure that they know when to vote. I mean, think about that. SD9 is probably the best example of that back in January because, as you all know, we lost that race in grand fashion. And the more that I talked to people after that election in January, people said, I didn't even know there was an election.
Yeah.
And I thought, how can that be? Because I sent 12 text messages out about it. But that's just the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Like, all of that just kind of gets lost in the wash. We don't have that much of a problem in November. People know there's an election. They know something's coming up that they need to vote for. But we're not going to take anything for granted. And we're going to remind them about the period of early voting. We're going to remind them about Election Day and the importance of getting out. And then the other thing that we're going to do as part of that is a really heavy digital campaign where in the 20 precincts that we can identify where the largest concentration of that 500,000 live, we're going to do a number of things. First, we can geofence now those precincts. So is anybody familiar with this? I wasn't familiar with this until recently. We do it at my business. So we'll go to a conference, for instance, like Las Vegas. In fact, we just did this. And our conference is at it was at Caesar's Palace. And so digitally, our consultant, I don't know how they do this, so please nobody ask me, but this is what they do. they can draw a digital line around that conference center. And so I'm in the oil and gas business. And so anybody at Caesar's Palace, anybody within that geographic boundary that they've drawn that searches for oil and gas is going to get one of our ads. We're going to pop to the top of their results through geofencing. So we're going to do that for the 20 top precincts where we identify these 500,000 nonpartisan general election voters, and we're just going to hammer them. We're going to hammer them with advertising. We can now do it. Anybody watch streaming, like you do YouTube TV, Hulu, or even YouTube? Yeah. So you see those ads that come up. You can geofence those ads. And so if we know that somebody is not just in Tarrant County, but in one of our top 20 precincts, they're going to get a digital ad where it'll be me or somebody much more handsome coming on and saying, hey, don't forget, here's the election date, go vote Republican. And we can target specific to those people, specific to those precincts. It's something that we've never been able to do before. We're going to do mail, of course, which I know y'all are like me. That walk between the mailbox and the trash can, I'm at least reading them, right? I mean, I'm going through it, I'm filtering it out. That's how it's effective. And even all the research shows that it's effective. Sending mail is still effective. And then nobody throw anything at me. Don't throw that cup at me when I say this. We're going to text message like crazy. And I know people hate them. I know they do. But they work. It's weird. It's like the mail. It works. I will get 200 text messages probably in this general election campaign. You all will too.
I get more than that every day.
Every day. You're on some lists. I don't know what you're doing.
I have done everything I can to get out of it, but I'll have at least 300 texts every single day.
And they all
And I
want
go right through I'm on every list.
Every list, yeah. So you'll get at least 4 or 5 from me leading up to it. Don't get mad at me, I know. But they work. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. We're all on our phones now. We see it come through, and in that time it takes to swipe and delete, it's still registering what we're reading in the message that we're receiving. So we're going to do all of those things. Those are the 3 phases. Like I said, we got to identify those voters. We got to figure out what persuades them, get that messaging together. I'll just say one more thing about that. We're in more contact with our candidates up and down the ballot than we've ever been at the party. Because I think that we have to be. We can't we're so used to in Tarrant County of running a primary campaign. That's all it took. You just got to run a primary campaign and November takes care of itself. We have watched that dwindle and dwindle and dwindle over the last few cycles. So even if you think back to 2018, I remember sitting on the edge of my couch waiting to see if Cruz was going to beat Beto.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if
Yeah.
Robert O'Rourke was a senator from the state of Texas?
And close.
It was so close. He lost Tarrant County by 1,600 votes. And so then the next cycle, we saw something similar with the president, where the president lost Tarrant County by 1,824 votes. If you think I don't think about it every day, you're wrong. Think about it a lot. And on and on. And so fortunately, the president won back Tarrant County. Our county-wides won. I think Tim O'Hare won by 6 points, and then the sheriff won by 8 2 years later. So some margins are increasing. But look at what we have at the top of the ticket this time. We have, I keep saying Senator Paxton. I don't want to jinx it. Take it back. We have Attorney General Paxton running against James Tallarico. Same dynamic is setting up. Can you imagine if you live in a state where James Tallarico represents you in the United States Senate? It's so silly, right? It's just so silly. But that's real. That's happening. That's the choice that the Democrats have given us. I think they'll come to regret it statewide. But still, that's the choice that they've given us. And so we have to be real about what's happening in Tarrant County, and we've got to be really motivated. And I just think that this is the point that I'm making. In coordinating with these campaigns, from the Senate race all the way through to whatever the bottom race is, I guess it's going to be the TAD nominees, which don't let me leave without talking about that for a second. Those are nonpartisan races. Whatever the top, from the Senate race all the way to whatever is the bottom, we're coordinating with those campaigns because if we get off message, for instance, and I don't think banning Sharia law is off message in the sense that, we need to be saying that. We need to ban it. We really do. What I mean is we need to talk about it at the right time. There's always a time and place for discussions. Those of you that are married know that really well. If Lindsay or I talk about something that's not the right time, we're not going to have a good discussion. We need to have good discussions between now and November, and what the polling is telling us is that's going to be discussions around economy and law and order. No surprise there, probably. And then, like I say, November 4th and November 5th, and then heading into the legislative session, we know what the goal is. It is banning Sharia law, it is banning foreign ownership, and it is death penalty for child predators. And I think we'll elect a team that will be dedicated to those things. But that persuasion piece is so important because it's taking coordination with us as a party and with each campaign. The second thing I'll say about that too is we will probably do another round of that polling as we head towards, as we get closer to November, just because we want to make sure that it's holding, that no new issue has popped up. It's very expensive. All of this is very expensive. That poll cost us $30,000 to put out into the field. But it was, the information we got was gold for us, for sure. And so we'll do that again. We have set a budget of $3.5 million for this campaign at the party. So separate from any campaign, separate from anybody else. And if I can raise it, I'll spend it. If I raise $4 million, I'll spend it. If I raise $1 million, I'll spend it. But I've always thought in life and business that you don't get to 80% if you don't shoot for 100. And so I know it's a lot. I know it's a big budget. A couple ways that we're going to do it. We've asked every candidate on the ballot for $25,000. And for some of them, that's the cheapest general campaign they'll ever run. So we're doing them a favor. I know it seems like a lot. If we do that, that's $1 million of it, give or take, right there. The governor, lieutenant governor realize how important Tarrant County is for a couple of reasons. One, we are the last large urban county in the country, not just in Texas, but in the country. And we'll only have it so long as we keep it. So they're very motivated to help us keep that status. But the second thing they know is that every vote they turn out in Tarrant County is one they don't have to go get in Dallas County, for instance, or in Harris County. And so you'll see them do a big emphasis in these areas where they know they can turn out the vote statewide. That will be very helpful to them. And they, fortunately enough, believe in us and believe in the people in this room enough that we can get it done in comparison to maybe some of the other county parties around the state. And so I know it's big, I know it's a lot, but that's what it's going to take because I don't want to live in a county where Lisa Simmons is county judge. I don't want to live in a state where James Talarico represents me at the meeting convention or whatever it is he goes to. I can't imagine. It's hard for my brain to even think about it, seriously. Yeah. And so that's the fight. That's what it's going to cost. That's the plan. I'm happy. I know you guys probably have some granular questions that I'm happy to answer for you. But that really is it from the party perspective. Yes, sir.
Tim, how do we know when we get these texts? Does it have your name attached to it? How do we know that they're coming from you? Because I get several of these surveys, and sometimes I don't want to link back to them.
No, that's great. That's right. So the law changed on texting recently, and so this is something that I've learned. It used to be that you all probably remember some of the first text banks that we ever did. We'd get you in a room with a Patriot mobile phone, and you could just hammer and send. The law has changed on that now, and so I think we have to identify ourselves just like anything else. So, at the bottom of anything that we print, it has to say political advertisement paid for by. I think the texting law is that way too. Hey, this is Tim from the Tarrant County Republican Party, and that's how you'll know. We will probably just do that anyway, because I think, kind of back to the example I was saying, if Carol makes a phone call and says, hey, this is Carol from the Republican Party, you get a hang up or you get a positive message. It just helps with that voter ID kind of stuff. Yeah.
You said don't let you leave without talking about.
Yes, thank you. So this election is going to be a little bit different than other November elections that we've had in Texas because there's going to be a lot of nonpartisan stuff on this ballot. Some school districts have moved their elections from May to November. By the way, I think we should advocate for this. This isn't really something that you probably wanted me to come talk about, but it's much cheaper if they join in November. And so if you think about the cost in Southlake, like where I live, it costs us about $100,000 to put on an election in May. And that's especially if we have a runoff or something like that. You move to November, when there are so many other entities already on the ballot, the cost is cheaper. So it's good anyway for us to be in November. But think about the difference between the May electorate and the November electorate. Kind of back to my point about SD9, everybody's ready to vote in November. Everybody's used to voting in November. You see such low turnout in May because I think a lot of times people are fatigued from the primary. They thought, oh, we just did this. And people just don't pay attention to local races, unfortunately. Everybody in here knows that's sometimes the most important race that you'll vote for. So you'll see a lot of municipalities move their elections to November. But the other thing is we'll have these 3 TAD spots that are up, the Tarrant Appraisal District. The law changed in the last 4 years or so, where we can now directly elect across the county 3 representatives to TAD. And this is the group that sets, probably the simplest way to say it, your city council sets your rate. The Tarrant Appraisal District determines what your house is worth. And they've got a very specific formula for all that and whatever. I'm not real big on the TAD and some of the stuff they've done, although we're getting some change there. But we have three spots that are directly elected by people. The rest of them are filled by the municipalities. So just think about that for a second. But those 3 spots are technically nonpartisan. We have 3 Republicans that were elected a couple years ago to those spots, who, when they got there, enacted an appraisal freeze, meaning whatever your price is, we're going to keep it there for 2 years. Because annually they would do these appraisal changes, which of course means your taxes just go up, up, and up. And so they elected a freeze. If we lose those 3 spots, you're almost guaranteed that they're going to go back to the way it was, where they're going to assess annually, meaning your taxes are going to go up, up, and up. And so one of those folks, Matt Bryan, is running again. The other 2 spots are open. I'm not aware of anybody who's raised their hand yet and gone ahead and filed. I don't even know if filing is technically open yet for those 2 spots. But please pay attention, stay informed on those 2 spots. Really critical that we keep those. The Democrats have targeted them because they want. It's crazy to me that they take these positions, but they think that, oh, if we have lower taxes, we'll starve out the government. I think that's a good thing. Like, I'm for that. I don't understand why we would want more and more taxes every year. But anyway.
So how are we going to know what party they're with?
Yeah, so I think those 3 did a good job. Watch who endorses them is probably the main way. But those 3 did a good job of just saying, I'm a conservative Republican. I'm for lower taxes. I mean, that's always a fair question to ask anybody who ever shows up on your ballot. You for more taxes or less taxes? Because we see the Democrats will say, I want more taxes. They'll say that. I want higher taxes. The Democrat socialists in this country, you all have seen this, are taking over that party. And the only way that they'll do it is by more taxes, by taking more of what we produce and more of what we have earned and should be ours. And so ask them that question. But you'll see some messaging probably from our group and others, from our party and others, about who to vote for in that election.
It'll be on the True Texas Project website.
Yeah, you all endorsed in that last race, that's right. And so I would just pay attention to all that messaging. Those are critical spots that we just can't take for granted, or else we'll tax ourselves out of living here for sure. So, that was a long answer, sorry.
Can you talk about ways, obviously we can go into the office and make the calls when it's time to phone bank and such, but I know Molly Maddox had gone into a senior center, a senior living, and done voter registration and just offered, got people's name on a list to give them rides, or are there other practical ways you can think of?
Yeah, thank you. Let me do that question in reverse. So one of the things, we help set a lot of the voting locations in Tarrant County. And I don't know if you noticed this, we have started putting a lot of them in nursing homes. And I voted in a nursing home. Anybody voted in a nursing home in the last cycle?
No, that's interesting.
We put one in Trinity Towers, which is a huge assisted living facility in Fort Worth. Anybody want to guess why we did that? Because we don't have to rent a van to get those people to vote.
Right.
We just got to get them downstairs. And so that's been one of our main focuses is those areas where we already have voting centers, voting locations in nursing homes. The other reason that I like voting in the nursing home is I like to take my 5-year-old with me, and he's just a kid in there. They love him. He thinks it's the best place. I'm like, stop giving him candy. Don't know. You can't have that. And he likes the stickers too. They always give him the stickers, so he's for that. So we've done that on purpose.
Thank you for doing that, because I know what that means to people.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a good time. I think this is an aside too, but I think if you want to know what's really important in a culture, go to a nursing home. and see what's going on there. It's really important to our family. But so we've done that and putting those places in the nursing home. And then I think the first part of your question is how do we know how to get involved in everything? Everybody knows Laura Oakley. If you don't know Laura Oakley, bless your heart, she is a force of nature. She's our executive director at the party, and she's the one tasked with organizing these phone banks, with these block walks, and organizing all of this from a volunteer perspective. The other thing, Laura is the president of the Grapevine Republican Club, and so she has a lot of experience in just being part of a club. I think she's been president of that club since it came into existence 400 years ago. We're filming that.
She's only 62.
That's right. We tease each other all the time about all that. So she's in charge of organizing all that. And so you'll start to see communications from the party probably as soon as late this week, early next week, about some of these phone banks for voter ID. You'll definitely get a lot once we get into that last phase of we need block walkers, we need phone bankers, we need door knockers, all those sorts of things. She's organizing that, so visit with her on your availability if you're going out of town or something like that, what's upcoming. And the Lord knows I should not be organizing any of that because I didn't want to make it here today.
You did fine.
So we'll have a lot of communication on that. Sign up at tarrantgop.org for our newsletter communications if you haven't, because we send those out quite a bit. And we'll have all this information about where to be and how to get it done. Our office, we have a great space for it. It's just sometimes tough to park at, but we'll just let them do all that and get it done. Yes, sir.
Tim, it's kind of irrelevant, but it was Crusoe was the DA
That's right.
in Dallas, and he got beat by a gal.
He got beat by a woman. I think her name is Amber Gibbons.
She's
Right?
far radical left, I bet.
Yeah.
Radical to his left.
Yes.
Yeah,
Really?
He was already far left. She's
Yeah.
to his left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks God we don't live in Dallas.
That's right. That's right.
You know about Jeff Younger?
No.
He was married to this woman who's a pediatrician, and they had twin boys, and they divorced. and
Oh, I know his story. Yeah, I just didn't know.
She wanted to do
Okay.
sex change on one of the boys,
Yeah.
and they let her have custody. I think they took away his rights to visit, and he had no say-so in the medical care.
Right. Yeah, that's Dallas County.
It's been going on for years.
She went to California.
Yeah. But that case was first litigated in Dallas County, right? Their divorce. That's terrible.
That's it, and that's one of the family court judges that was,
That's right. Yeah. That's what you get in Dallas County.
yeah, I think her name's Mary Brown. We don't want those judges in Tarrant County.
One other quick question,
Yes,
Tim. I noticed with you talking about the different issues that were on the survey that the independents were coming back with, where I haven't heard very much about border security lately.
Yeah.
As far as that being a high topic. I know it's pretty much calmed down now and gotten taken care of, but I haven't heard anybody really talking about it.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. In fact, I should have mentioned it when we discussed it. So we tested it, and I was surprised because we tested it. If you remember what was happening in the border issues, and we didn't break out ICE separately from Secure the Border. So I think Secure the Border I thought it might catch some of the stuff about ICE. There was something happened with ICE around the time that we were polling, but it did not test as a mover. You want to guess why? Our best thought is everybody thinks it's salt. The president is salt.
Okay.
We don't have.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. The media is not picking up on
Correct.
anything as far as any kind of real
Exactly.
going on down there.
Yeah, that's right. That's
There
right.
is one thing that has been going around a lot of the media, but more in South Texas, and that is there are areas along the Rio Grande that they're fighting putting the border fence in because things like coyotes then can't get through the fence to get to the water to get a drink.
Like the animals, not the people.
Yeah, I mean, they're using arguments like that. Yeah, they're absolutely insanity.
It is wild.
But they don't also want the natural look of the mountains and all of that disturbed. They think it's not a real issue if people come through there, illegals.
Yeah.
They're more concerned about how it looks and the fact that animals won't be able to get to the water, to
Big
get
Ben. Can't put the wall there. Pictures.
Okay, so I would love for you to address the fact that there are pockets of Tarrant County maybe that need, like, people don't necessarily have to stay in their own precinct, or where would we? I'm assuming you're going to figure out strategically where we need to send people.
Yeah, it's those 20 precincts that I was talking about that were geofenced. That's where we'll target with block walkers as best we can, phone banks especially. The good thing about data now, I mean, we like it or not, everybody, we carry these phones around. I sign up for all these stupid Amazon things. You know, everybody has my phone number now. Everybody has my email. Everybody knows where I am most of the time. The good thing is we can use that for these voters now. Identifying those 20 precincts, and I'm saying 20, it could be 15, it could be 50. So I think the data will show us that as we continue to collect it and it bears out. Don't stay, that's a great point, don't stay in your own precinct. My precinct is 3,500 in South Lake. We will turn out for AG Paxton 80%, 80 to 20. I don't need to block walk in there.
Right.
I don't need to
Right.
door knock in there.
Right.
I don't need to call those people, remember to go vote. They're going to do it anyway. We told the House district candidates on Thursday or Friday morning when we met, if you're going and knocking on the door and only getting positive responses, fire your consultant, because they're just sending you to the houses of Republicans. That's not who we need to talk to right now. Tim Davis is going to vote anyway. Nobody better knock on my door. I'm turning out. And so the same is true for us in our precinct. I don't need to knock a door in 3,500. Probably need to knock one over in 1,400 in precinct 1. That's probably going to be one of the areas that we'll have to block walk. Probably down in Mansfield, probably in Arlington. But yeah, please don't just stay in your own precinct, especially if the precinct is like mine. You are free to go anywhere you want. That's right.
School board's different. We block walk on a
Yeah,
precinct.
yeah, school
Because we
board.
gotta educate,
That's right.
because they don't have to live.
They don't even
And
know.
motivate.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I think for November, that's a great point on with it being a little bit of a different election in November and messaging wise. But yeah, I think if your precinct is like mine, those folks are great. Like they're so informed, at least as it relates to the partisan part of the ballot. And we don't have in South Lake, at least we don't have a nonpartisan except for the TAD stuff on there that I'm aware of.
So we attended Tim O'Hare's volunteer rollout last month.
Yeah.
We won't get started block walking until then. So the coordination, we're gonna use the
Yeah,
Abbott Act.
that's right. Yep.
Which is like our fourth and fifth block walking app, which
Yeah,
we started
I know.
a few years ago. I'm assuming it's similar to campaign sidekick or.
It's supposed to be. I've not used it yet because
It's
I
better.
It's better.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard good
more,
things.
More information on it.
Yeah.
We used it this past time for one of Keller's city council sites, and it was better to me.
You probably know better than me. You can text from within the app, so you don't have to do anything separate.
Don't remember.
Okay.
That was-
I mean, that's apparently a feature. And then for us, the main thing is what I talked about. You can log. This is a Republican house. This is a Democrat house, and we can do that now. They've given us
Yes.
access to
Yes,
the
you can
back
do
end,
that.
so that way we can generate the list that we're going to need for getting out the vote. And that's just what's huge to us.
So I'm assuming there's a real coordination.
Absolutely. Has to
Between
be.
Tim and,
Yeah.
I don't know who else will be for him.
Yeah.
Investing him, but will be down, how much on the ballot will we?
Oh, I mean, we have
Pushing.
45 spots, partisan spots on this ballot. It's crazy, depending on what part of the county you live in, for sure. And so that's kind of the big thing that I've tried to do is herd all those cats together. Because it doesn't do us any good if we're all just talking about different things, going in different directions. If 9 people come to your door on a Saturday, you're going to get annoyed. If one person comes and says, here's our ticket, please vote for us. That's just more efficient, but it's also respecting the voter more than being crazy and haphazard. So that's what we're trying to do. We won't hit 100% success rate on that, but we're going to be as coordinated as we've ever been.
So the school board will just give them flyer
Mm-hmm.
for school.
Yep, that's right.
We don't have the.
They're nonpartisan.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So we'll have our mail, we'll have that messaging around it. Our push cards will have that messaging around it, and we can just shorthand it by saying vote for every Republican.
Yeah.
Because they're instead of listing 45 names, for instance. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got someone online watching
Sure.
that's asking about some of the issues. So, like, as we're in our day-to-day lives, and maybe we're not even block walking, but we're having conversations. Obviously, the people I run around with, or I'm on social media with, really care about immigration, H-1B visas, work. You know, all these Indians coming over. Can you maybe review again what some of the top issues are that we should be having conversations about?
Yeah, absolutely. And so let me just preface everything by saying I'm not saying these aren't important issues. In fact, the issues you just said are probably some of the most important to Tim personally, to my family, to the things that I care about. What I'm saying is we did that polling. We were looking to see what's going to motivate that 500,000 nonpartisan voter. So I love that question. It's such a good question because as anything, with any of our communications, it's knowing your audience a little bit and knowing what's important to them and then knowing how to say what's important to them. I think universally everybody cares about economy, cares about law and order, crime and punishment, for instance. So I would start there in a conversation with the voter. But then once you get to know them further, and hopefully, if you're next to them at church, if it's your neighbor, your friend in the community, whatever, and you start to hear, hey, this other thing is important. Of course, talk about that stuff, for sure. I think in knowing what's important to our party, and sometimes the best way to know that is just go and read our platform. I'm always surprised at how few Republicans have read the Republican platform. I'm even more surprised at how many elected officials don't follow it, but that's a different discussion for a different day. But just knowing our position on a lot of these issues and being able to be conversant, I know everybody in this room certainly can do that, but I think we should talk about those things with our neighbors. I just think my ask is, as we lead towards November, let's lead with those issues that matter most to those voters, being the economy and being law and order. I think that's the best way to start the conversation, and then let them take it from there and see what they say, and see where they go. It's a good question.
We're in an election cycle now, but throughout the year, do we have any kind of voter registration effort designed for people who are moving into the area?
We do.
have a list,
Yep.
we know who's moving in, we go by the business and say, hey,
Yep.
I'm Larry and we're
That's right. We've done that before. So the way that we organize the party, the way we're broken up, obviously we have precinct chairs, which are within each precinct. Theoretically, that would be the job of the precinct chair to be checking the voter roll, see who's coming in, going out. Above that, we have a level, each house district in this county, we have like 10 or 11, actually. A couple of them are Democrats, unfortunately. But each house district in Tarrant County has an area leader that's appointed by me and affirmed by the precinct chairs. That kind of help those precinct chairs as they do that work within their own individual precincts. Most of the area leaders are doing that work of what you're talking about. I know Steve Eklund in Arlington will always send a letter to somebody that's moved in. Hey, looks like you're new here. Welcome. Here's who I am. Please get registered to vote if you haven't yet. That kind of thing. And then we have groups that do that throughout the year. To your question, we register a lot of folks at gun shows for obvious reasons. Those are our voters for sure. And then we've done it a few times, although we should get better at this, at churches, in registering folks at church. We have, I forget the acronym, but you can get certified as a voter.
VDR.
Yeah, voter.
Volunteer Deputy Registrar.
That's it. You can get
It's
certified.
class 79.
Yeah, and it's a pretty easy class, right? Yeah, if you go to tarrantgop.org, that's on the calendar of how you get registered for that class. And those folks then are able to go and register at nursing homes, wherever, kind of do that voter drive like you're talking about. Yeah. Thank you for knowing that acronym. I'm impressed.
Tim, I think it's an ethical question. I don't know.
Well, I'm a lawyer, so
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
You're talking about registering people in nursing homes.
Mhm.
What questions do you ask them? I mean, some people in nursing homes don't,
Yeah,
are
that's
they too
right.
demented to vote? Really?
Well, yeah, we're not going to register them for
How,
sure. Yeah.
what is the criteria to use it?
Yeah, the criteria for registering a voter, I think whether there or somewhere else, is probably, that's part of what these folks are trained to do and look for, that are registering. Obviously, you want someone who's in their right mind,
Yeah.
of course, and who shares our values. And that's what they do, is they have a way of asking, you going to share our values or not? And that, again, that kind of goes back to that voter ID part that we're doing. We're doing that even with folks who are registered. and talking to them, hey, I'm Carol from the Republican Party, do you want to register to vote? If you get the door slammed in your face, there's your answer. If you get a receptive response, then you kind of know. And again, logging that person as somebody that we've got to turn out in November. It's all conversational, by and large. It has to be, just because that's what's happening there, is the person's filling out the paperwork. That's what the folks at gun shows do. It's just lower hanging fruit at the gun show than it is at the nursing home. I'll say my grandmother got sent, we're registering them to vote. I haven't even talked about the mail-in ballot yet, because I think that's where it's just rampant with fraud, the mail-in ballot from these nursing homes. That's the other benefit to us being in the nursing home, is we can get those folks to vote in person, as opposed to doing a mail-in ballot. For instance, my grandmother just mentioned she got a ballot 15 years after she died. Now, I voted it, just in the end.
That's on tape.
That is not true. But that's the other reason that we do that, is we want to watch out for that. People who are going and harvesting in their
Yes, I know they do that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And there are Democrats that are registering all of
Yeah.
these for
There
that
are
purpose,
too.
and very proud of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just apartments?
There
Nursing-
are
assisted
Democrats
living
that
and-
are registering those people
In the nursing home.
in the nursing homes or whatever, and of course voting for them. And
Yeah.
They're worried they're gonna get a mail-in ballot, and then the voter themselves won't fill it out, it'll be somebody else filling it out.
Yeah, it's much more secure if that person would go in person, obviously. Yeah, that's right.
So a lot of, we all know that the GOP electorate is getting older and older. Do you have advice for people who are like, I can't block walk, I can't get to the GOP office, I can put a sign in my yard. Like, is there more they can do?
There's more they can do. So you can do this phone banking from home. Look where Carol's sitting, and look what she has right beside her. That's probably your most comfortable spot in the whole world, right there.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And so you've got your phone right beside you, and you can do it from your phone from home. Lists will be generated that will make that easier. It's another great question of just how to do it comfortably from your home. I don't know the technology very well, but Laura Oakley definitely will, and the folks that help her out definitely will. And so we will make it as easy as it can possibly be to get you a list. 50 phone calls a day. That's not hard. Half of those probably are going to be voicemails that you leave. And we're just going to have to work those lists that way and do it just like any other campaign. But because of technology now, we can do it so much easier. You don't have to come to the party. Let me say though, block walking aside, I would love for you to come to the party, because we've noticed a couple things. One, it's just fun to be around each other. I mean, that's why we're here in the house today. It's just fun to be together. It's fun to eat cookies and cobbler and everything together. I will gain 15 pounds in this election. I will, because I sit there and eat candy all day and eat that stupid pizza every night, and it's just gross. Every election, my wife is like, "What has happened to you? You let yourself." But it's fun to be together. We have fun together. We benefit off that energy. But the other thing is, I've asked our electeds to come be a part of this and to do this with us. And so it will be great for you to sit side by side with your house rep, get to know them, get their phone number, get a relationship with them. Because remember, our House goes into session a few months later in January, and they're going to do something that you're not going to like. And you need to call them up. And you say, remember when we sat beside each other and we called those 500 voters? I called those voters so that you wouldn't do what you're doing, for instance. And so, and they love it when I talk about that, when I remind them that we're going to do that to them. But it's just so important for just a momentum building. I understand the doors are hard to walk, and it's hot right now. My son and I, we were playing in the bounce house yesterday, and I just told him after a while I had to get in with him because it's one of those water winds. It was just so hot. I get it. It's so hot right now. As we get out of the summer, weather gets a little bit better. It'll be easier. But the best thing is just come be together at the party. We'll make it as comfortable as we can. We have air conditioning there, and so we got all the food. I just love it when we're together. So it's good. Do it from your house too, but come to the party as much as you can as well.
How do we get more young people involved?
Yes.
Well, I'm the youngest chair that we've ever had. I
Yay.
think. I don't know. I don't know if that's really true. I just like saying it. It's a classic politician. I don't know if it's true. I just like saying it. But I I think that we're seeing that more and more. I really do. And here's why. Y'all remember when the day that Charlie Kirk died? That was foundational to me. That's part of the reason I'm sitting in this chair. Because I wasn't chair then. I kind of figured Bo told me that he wasn't going to run again. And I thought, I got to do something. Tim thought that. I got to do something. And this is something that I did. What I have found in conversations with people, let's say 25 to 35, is that they had that same experience that day when they watched him get shot. And they're doing something about it. And so we're seeing a lot more of them. So we have never had a really robust Young Republicans Club in Tarrant County. But in 2 Mondays, they're having a kickoff event, and I'm going to go and meet with them. There's 20 or 25 of them.
Are they gonna be in the bar?
Oh, for sure. Of course, you knew that they were. They're meeting, or they meet at that Cowtown Brewery downtown. And so we're starting to see that back again. And we're starting to see young people get more involved because of what happened to Charlie Kirk. This is the first, y'all tell me, is this the first general election since he was killed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we will see that, I think, largely driven by what they saw with their own eyes. That's the one thing is, if you know a young person who's on the fence, ask them what they thought about what happened to Charlie Kirk. But the second thing is ask them, this is kind of the stuff that we talked about at the beginning. Ask them if they want to have a family where they can afford some kids, where they can afford to send them to college. Because more than any other segment, I think they're feeling the pinch of this cost of living.
They can't buy a house.
They can't buy a house. Think about how expensive college is right now. I don't even know. TCU is what, $85,000, and I know that's a private example. Even the public schools are more and more expensive in terms of cost of living. They're feeling that more than probably any of us even. And so those two conversations are driving a lot of young people to conservative politics. Now we need to honor that, and when they show up, we need to find a place for them. I had somebody tell me one time who was in their late 30s that they had a better reception among the older people at their church than they did among the older people at the party. I don't know why that is, and I don't even know if it was true, but that was that person's experience. So when we see them, we need to find them a spot. And so you saw a lot of our appointees on Thursday are younger than they used to be, because I think that's the example that we need to set. And that's not dismissive of older people at all. That's the right point. The average age, I think, of the voter in our primary back in March was upper 70s. Yeah, that's true. And we got to be aware of that reality in our party.
Yeah, I know.
That our voter populace is aging, and we've got to have some backfill among young people. We just have to. Our message resonates with them. We just got to get it out.
So who's the guy that does the financial report for the Republican Party here?
Here,
In Jackson?
Fred Tate.
Yeah, so I asked him how we got more young people involved, and he said beer and pizza.
Beer and pizza.
That's
That
true
wasn't the answer I wanted to
for
hear.
any young group, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the motivator.
But the thing is, just like when Charlie Kirk was shot, and so many of that group, those young men gave their hearts to the Lord Jesus, and the next Sunday went to churches. Many of the churches they went to were totally dead and just put out the fire in them totally. So if we
That's a
don't
great point.
offer them the things that matter
Yeah, it's great.
and how to use them for the things that matter, they could get lost.
That's right. That's right.
Some of them are going to be the young lions God's raising up, that they're not going to let anything stop them.
That's right.
But others need some help getting there. So I've watched that, and I will visit different churches from time to time and specifically look for the young men. And the Lord's told me how to spot them. And it's just amazing because I will know, and I'll speak to them, ask them questions, and then affirm what God's doing with them. God is raising you up. You're a young lion. You're going to do mighty things. But you've got to get connected. And they know it. They know it. Now, nobody has necessarily said that to them, except maybe hearing Charlie Kirk films and things. But to have someone walk up to them and say, hey, God's just changed your life, and your life is significant and very important. Get plugged in and give them some options. Because they jump at it.
Yep.
It's amazing. I was at a teacher's so I know you've got to set the things in front of them, unless they have someone in their life who's already doing that. And unfortunately, most parents don't do that anymore. So speak to them, but if you look, and I'll tell you one identifying factor. If you look, you will see young men today that are unusually tall. I mean, 6'5", 6'6", whatever, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I always, that's one of the things the Lord showed me. And I'll ask them, does this run in your family? First I ask, how tall are you? Because every guy is so proud to tell you how tall they are, if they have any height, you know. And then I'll ask them, does this run in your family? And rarely,
Say something
rarely,
before we close.
any of them have those genetics in their family, and they'll tell me that. No, there's not any man in my family that we know of that was any taller than 5'10", and I'm
Yeah.
6'4", or I'm 6'6", or whatever. And then I can tell them why.
Before we close, I wanted to bring up Molly is asking for volunteers to drive people to the voting sites from the senior
Yeah.
homes. She's got a 2-seater car and she needs volunteers.
Yeah.
She asked me to ask y'all.
I do that in my neighborhood.
Good for
I've
you.
told her
That's good.
before.
Mhm.
I will be glad to help, and I'm going to help in the nursing homes other than the
Good.
registering.
Good.
We can get you a bus. That's what we could get you.
Huh?
We can get you a bus. Just load them
Is
in.
there a rule that you can only take 7 people at a time?
Well, if there is, I haven't heard of it.
Well, and if you rent a vehicle, 75 is the limit.
For the vehicle?
Yeah, to rent, you know, you can't drive a rented, like a bus or van.
Big bus.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yeah, because my sister does for her church, which is dead. But whenever she drives people, but she has found out since she's turning 75 this year, the rental places, it said there's an age.
Oh, the age limit. I was trying to think
Being
of
able
bus
to
that was
drive.
only 75.
No, so
I'm
drivers, you know, because a rental vehicle,
Yep. I'm sorry. Okay.
they,
Well, you're way below that, so you're fine.
well, I'm 75 right now, so I was stunned. I was like, what do you mean? Next year I can't, if I wanted to, I couldn't rent it.
Yes, sir.
One quick thing, at the polls, I don't know how many people have worked at the polls before, but disabled people, handicapped people can come up to a certain spot at
Yes.
the polls,
Yeah.
and they can come down and bring a polling
Yeah.
booth to their car, to the site
Yeah,
there.
there'll even be a sign up
Yeah.
there that gives you the phone number to call.
Yeah.
And then they'll, yeah,
That's good.
So some people don't,
I've done it, it's
don't know that.
good.
Mm-hmm. Great.
But thank you all so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.